Well, we'll try and behave over here.
We don't have pens up here.
Well, I have one. We'll share.
Okay, I'll let you guys deal with that or someone.
Gwe, welcome. My name is Janine Woldridge. I am the Director of Operations with Abogwit Mi'kmaq First Nation, and I am a proud member of the Mi'kmaq Nation in Prince Edward Island. And today, I am your MC for this ceremony. It is my privilege to welcome you all here today for this historic event. As a Mi'kmaq person, I am incredibly pleased to be playing a role in a ceremony that marks a new day in the relationship of our Mi'kmaq governments and the Government of Canada and Prince Edward Island. To begin, as in our tradition, I want to call upon Elder Barbara Bernard to offer a prayer and a sacred smudge. Before Elder Bernard begins, our honored head table guests, Minister Carolyn Bennett, Premier Wade McLaughlin, Chief Matilda Ramjatan, and Councillor Jacob Jadis will offer tobacco.
Creator, I am humbled today to be here to celebrate with MCPI and Chief Counsels and our table, Carol Bennett, and our Premier. I'm a little nervous. So I'm just going to start my prayer, then I'm going to go around the room and smudge while the drummers are drumming. Creator, I ask that you bless this hall, this moment, and I ask that you bless each and every one of us. I ask that you bring your kindness and your love into our hearts. I ask that you acknowledge our families and our communities, and I ask that you bless each and every one of them. And I pray for our communities that they will also embrace this beautiful hall that's so important to us today. Thank you, Creator. Walalan Amsignogama. Hey.
Thank you, Elder Bernard. I will now call on Gilbert Sark and his drum group, Hey Cousins, to offer a song in honor of this historic event.
You can sit down, it's not an honor song.
Wow, thank you very much, Gilbert and drummers. And now I am proud to call upon Chief Matilda Ramjatan of the Lennox Island First Nation to provide opening remarks on behalf of the Mi'kmaq. Chief Ramjatan.
Kwe, welcome. Thank you, Janine and Elder Barbara Bernard and Hey Cousins for those opening prayer and song. You know, there was a time in our past that we were not able to do that. Today we're up here in public drumming, singing, and praying and smudging in a way that is meaningful to us. And that's part of reconciliation. But anyways, in saying that, I want to welcome Minister Bennett. Thank you for making the extra effort to come. I know there was issues with your flight, so welcome. Premier McLaughlin, Senator Brian Francis. Woo, he's so proud of you. I can't help myself. MP Sean Casey, always a pleasure. And MP Bobby Morrissey, where are you? I know you're here. There you are. It's always good to see you. Thank you so much for coming and making the effort to come. Councillors and community members and respected guests, welcome to Epkwet the unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq. And welcome to this very important ceremony. Today is an important step in the journey to resolve our outstanding Mi'kmaq Treaty and Aboriginal rights issues in PEI. This agreement commits all of our respective governments, the Mi'kmaq, Canada, and Prince Edward Island, to a respectful and cooperative negotiation process. The Mi'kmaq have existed in Epkwet since time immemorial, and we will always be here on our island. We have treaties with the Crown that are sacred documents, so we're not looking to create new ones, but they are grounded in peace and friendship. We have never ceded our rights, including title, and this agreement gives us a process that will help all our governments to reconcile our Mi'kmaq rights in Epkwet and all of our shared interests. We have a great deal of work to do, but after many years of advocating for a cooperative government-to-government-to-government process, I am very pleased to say that we will be doing this work together. I am very pleased that Minister Bennett, Premier McLaughlin are here to help forge this journey together. I want to say thank you so much for your leadership and your commitment to a new day in the relationship with the Mi'kmaq of Prince Edward Island. To our councils and staff and community members who have worked so hard over the years to get us to this day, I thank you for your diligence. While this framework represents a beginning, it is an extremely important beginning, and a beginning that respects the Mi'kmaq in government-to-government-to-government process to resolve and reconcile our rights in PEI. It is extremely special that our framework agreement, which was signed first by the Mi'kmaq in August, actually contains the signature of former Chief Brian Francis. The fact that the former chief has since been appointed to the Senate of Canada, congratulations again, he is here today to witness this important event in his new role as senator. It's another reflection of the renewed relationship of our respective governments. Senator Francis, thank you so much for your dedication to the Mi'kmaq of Prince Edward Island. So in saying that, I just want to say, oh, I'm so excited. Earlier I had the mic on, and it's like, if I was a peacock, I'd have all my proud feathers up. But anyway, I'm so happy to be here, and I want to again say thank you, Walala to you all.
Thank you, Chief. I would now call upon Honorable Wade McLaughlin, Premier of Prince Edward Island, to offer remarks on behalf of the province. Premier McLaughlin.
Good afternoon, everyone. Quay, Elder Barbara Bernard, and other elders, Chief Matilda Ramjatan, Senator Bryan, councillors Jacob, Darren, Mary, Richard and Janet, MPs Bobby Morrissey and Sean Casey. I recognize Don McKenzie, Executive Director of MCPEI, and staff, the Confederacy. And note that we have a good number of federal and provincial officials with us from various departments, an important way to underscore what we're doing here today, and a great representation from the leadership and the community and the people, Mi'kmaq people of Prince Edward Island. And let me not leave out Hey Cousins. Thanks, Gilbert and team. That was a great way, and with the prayer and smudge, Elder Barbara. As Minister of Aboriginal Affairs and as Premier, I'm here today on behalf of our province and of our government and to say that we're all honored to be part of this important day. Well, Alan, thank you. Thanks to all of you, Walia, for being here. So we stand in the traditional homeland of the Mi'kmaq people with members of both the Abawit, Mi'kmaq Nation, and Lennox Island First Nation. I want to recognize the important historical and cultural contributions that the Mi'kmaq have made to our province, to really laying the foundations for our history, to our vibrant island identity, and to what continues to make us a mighty island. And to recognize that our signatures today on this framework agreement are a commitment to work together to build a promising future. Like Chief Matilda, I take a moment to recognize and to congratulate again Senator Brian Francis for your new role, and to thank you for the contributions that you've made to bring us to the point on the path that we are today. Many of us have had an opportunity to work with Senator, former Chief Francis, to know him and to believe, as he has showed us to believe, that we can agree, that we can commit, and that we can, together with and in partnership with the Mi'kmaq First Nations and community of Prince Edward Island, build a great province and country. And today I'm carrying an eagle feather that Senator Francis had wrapped and presented to me, and it means a lot to have that today, Brian. Chief Matilda has been and continues to be a tremendous advocate for the well-being and the rights and the opportunities for Lennox Island First Nation and for Mi'kmaq people in Prince Edward Island. Through her tireless work, and I can say that there would not be a month in the past year, Matilda, that there haven't been, that we've not had an opportunity to work together. As recently as just before Christmas, and sometimes it takes a week or two to deliver, but we get around to it, and you keep reminding us that, in the past year alone, think of the major initiatives: education, major work on the school and warming center in Lennox. The environmental infrastructure is always a priority. Health, other community services, and with Chief Matilda, there's never a list that doesn't include housing. Like Senator Francis and Chief Matilda, there are many members of the Mi'kmaq community and councils and other islanders in various capacities and federal officials. And you, Minister Bennett, thank you for being here and for your leadership here in this province and nationally to advance the work that is represented here today, to be an advocate for and a representative of, an example of truth and reconciliation, and to work together with the government of the Mi'kmaq people of our province and the federal government to share a vision of healthy, safe, inclusive, and prosperous communities here in Prince Edward Island. And that's the goal that underpins this framework agreement, working together with the Mi'kmaq leadership, the people and communities of our province, together with our federal government, to make this into a reality. The framework agreement that we're signing today is a significant next step and a major milestone on our journey together. It's an important moment in our province's history, and I'm proud, and we are all proud and excited to be at this stage and at this important step on a transformative process. The framework agreement gives us an opportunity and a platform and a formal framework to discuss and work together to achieve Aboriginal rights and priorities for development, and how that can be implemented and pursued in Prince Edward Island as we make real progress together. When the Mi'kmaq people and communities of our province thrive, all of Prince Edward Island does well. And it's a relationship. It's so important to have that word as part of what we're talking about here today. A relationship that, in my role as Premier and Minister of Aboriginal Affairs, and I may say as a friend and one who shares a vision with Mi'kmaq leaders in our province, we have many opportunities to listen and to learn and to act together on the modern translation and implementation of rights, and on major new achievements such as wastewater management, housing, capacity building, and to look for all the ways that we can, together with our federal partner, to build a future success. We can do that in infrastructure, and indeed the federal infrastructure programs lay out a number of paths and a major commitment to do that here in Prince Edward Island in ways that will be where we will be guided by the priorities of the Mi'kmaq leadership and the Confederacy. Housing, an area of priority for our province, for the federal government, and certainly for the Mi'kmaq governments of Prince Edward Island. In skills, to ensure that Mi'kmaq people have an opportunity and that we together pursue the opportunity for 21st century workforce opportunities. Parks Canada, represented here today. Our colleagues in agriculture and fisheries, represented here today. There are many ways in which we are working together and will continue to do so. And we're all proud, and I can say that personally and in my role as the Premier of our province, all Prince Edward Islanders can be proud of what we're achieving, what we're committing to, and what we can anticipate going forward based on this framework agreement. From the first conversations I had in this role with former Chief Francis and with Chief Ramjatan, this has been a priority, and in particular, they would speak about this framework agreement using the metaphor of building a house. Brian smiles, and I know Matilda does too. There were many days when we talked about a good house only being of much value if it has a good foundation and a strong foundation, and that's what we achieve here today with this framework agreement, with the partnership of the federal government and with your presence here today, Minister Bennett, and the leadership that you've shown to bring us to this point. So we're with the Mi'kmaq governments of Prince Edward Island, the Government of Canada, and together we're committing to a blueprint with a shared sense of optimism and determination and partnership and a path that is about reconciliation, about making a bright future that we can all be proud of and how we can all thrive and succeed. Walaliak, thank you.
Thank you very much, Premier. I would now like to welcome Honorable Carolyn Bennett, Minister for Crown Indigenous Relations, to provide remarks on behalf of Canada.
Hello, bonjour. Thank you, Janine, and a particular honor for me to actually get here today to the traditional territory of the Mi'kmaq people and in this historic event. And we thank Elder Bernard for really making sure we start in a good way, and the smudge, and that all of these things that are so important. We acknowledge the presence of the drum, and we thank the drummers for being here with us and making sure that again, that sort of heartbeat of going forward together actually will be in our memories together. And I am thrilled to have my colleagues, Sean Casey and Bobby Morrissey, and it is going to be I think a really important time as each one of these agreements teaches Canadians why this is important, that we come together, government to government, with government, to be able to actually do these things that most people probably don't understand. But as the chief reminded us, this was the original understanding of the peace and friendship treaties, that this is the way we were supposed to work together, and today we are honoring that moment where we get it on track in a way of going forward together. So I just always want to thank my colleague, Premier McLaughlin. You have every time that we've been here, you set an example and challenge us for this to be obvious in this perfect island and the cradle of Confederation. This is where experiments and where good things can happen when the people like one another and respect one another and are prepared to work hard together. And so I think that it is, as the chief said, and Councillor J.D. it's and all of the councillors representing Lennox Island and Abequat First Nations. We are all also here to honor former Chief Francis and Senator Francis. It is, as was pointed out, a signatory to the agreement, and that we really do believe that in your work tirelessly, and now your work in the Senate to explain what it takes to actually reset the relationship in that way that the Prime Minister has said in the mandate letters to all of us as ministers, a recognition of rights, respect, cooperation, and partnership. And that still needs to be understood by all Canadians. And I think from your new place in the Senate of Canada, that again, that you will become that teacher of not only your other senators and parliamentarians, but have that bully pulpit that allows you to actually speak to all Canadians. And so we believe that you now proudly add this framework agreement to your already impressive list of achievements. And I think everybody here, and I join the former speakers in saying that your service to your community so faithfully over the years, that I think we all know that your heart will always be here, and you will be watching carefully as we do our work, and that it is about you and your commitment to make Canada a better place for everyone. So it was interesting that the analogy of the house, and I was thinking last night as I watched the scaffolding around Big Ben in London, that we sometimes have trouble explaining what a framework agreement is, and I think somehow we are saying it's not only the foundation, but it's the scaffolding that holds every piece of work that we do together. It makes sure that every piece of work that we do is based on the respect and cooperation and a partnership, and leaves behind the paternalism that was very much part of colonial tendencies or actualities. So as the Crown and the Mi'kmaq are signatories already to the peace and friendship treaties, as Chief Matilda pointed out, this isn't new. This is about us just reinforcing about the kinds of ways that we promise to work together in diplomacy and trade, and without giving up rights to land and resources. That these treaties are sacred and they need to be respected. And it means that our responsibility and obligation is to move forward to find those shared and balanced solutions that advance reconciliation in a meaningful way, but respects the rights and interests of the Mi'kmaq of Prince Edward Island and, frankly, of all Canadians. It is about us doing better. And so we are now, I think, in this place where this framework agreement is, and I think we may run out of analogies, but it is a blueprint. It is a way of the things that the Mi'kmaq have decided will be priorities for you to work on, and then for us as other governments to be able to help you work and move forward on the priorities that you work. So this is about implementing those historic treaty rights, but also the exciting part to actually explore and support the Mi'kmaq vision of self-governance, and in a way that is unique to Prince Edward Island. And so we think that this is it is a historic and exciting day as we renew our understanding of nation to nation. We look forward to again working together and discussing the priorities that have been identified in the framework agreement. And I think everybody here, witnesses and all of us are prepared to today commit to the kind of work it takes to actually move these issues forward together in terms of the brighter future that you deserve and that you have seen as your vision for the honoring the wisdom of the elders, but the hope and aspirations of your youth. That this is exciting what we get to do together. I'm always a bit embarrassed, or that somehow we all get to sit at the table and that there's all these people that actually did the work. And I would love it if our teams would stand up and actually be able for us to say thank you to those of you that are working every day to make these happen. And I think there's a few at the front table that should stand up too. So
Stand up.
come on. So I just think that in this way forward, and our real hope for the future, that this is about goodwill and cooperation on all sides. It is the collective interest, and as the Premier said, it's about optimism and determination, but it is, as we are reminded, it is the spirit and intent of Peace and Friendship Treaty. This is we are doing these things together, and I just think that it was fun, as I was flying in and thinking of how many times I've had the honor of coming to your beautiful island, and mighty island, as the Premier said, that as the cradle of Confederation, we are thinking, at the difficulty that First Peoples had with Canada 150, and the difficulty that was helped when Gord Downey thankfully said that we have 150 years behind us and 150 years ahead of us, and we better just get to work. I think that's really what we are all here to celebrate today. And so I am just here so grateful for the progress that we've done together, but also committed to the work that's yet to be done. And by signing this framework agreement here, we further strengthen the treaty relationship, advance reconciliation, and we know this is the benefit for First Nation members, but for all Canadians. So, Wulaliliuk, and thank you, merci, and it's an exciting day. Congratulations.
Thank you, Minister Bennett. In the spirit of nation rebuilding, I would like to call our witnesses to the head table for the signing and dating of the framework agreement.
photo
one,
of it.
one like this and then one of her signature pages.
Yeah, just pretend picture. Take a picture. We'll just pretend we're for a photo.
Okay, that's let's get, make sure we've got everybody in a picture. Okay, that's 9, 10, 11. Okay, so that's one of each page of the signatures and the front page.
Or get more experience at this.
Scooch in?
Yeah.
You like that word?
It's a good word. Okay, so
Are we in the photo?
let's just yeah, let's put that there. And then this. There we go.
I feel like I'm dreaming something. Don't pinch me.
Would Senator Francis want to come in a picture?
I wish you would. Yes. Yeah, right beside you. Scooch over. What about Bobby? Come on, Bob.
Yeah, come on.
Bobby, where's
Come on,
Bobby?
Robert?
The
That's
chief
okay.
has spoken.
That's okay. We want you in here. Thank you, everybody.
An exchange of gifts to mark an important event has always been part of our culture and traditions and is a symbol of respect, peace, and friendship. In accordance with this tradition, Chief Matilda Ramjattan will now offer gifts to Premier McLaughlin and Minister Bennett on behalf of the Mi'kmaq.
Do we get to open it? Why not? Okay.
Premier McLaughlin will now offer gifts to Chief Ramjattan, Councillor Jadis, and Minister Bennett on behalf of Prince Edward Island.
Clay Impressions, Ellen Burge Potter.
it's my favorite. It's when I look, this is what I call my spirit level. When I can see the water hit the sky, it sort of means everything's going to be okay. So thank you very much.
Nice. And finally, Minister Bennett will offer gifts to Premier McLaughlin, Chief Ramjatan, and Councillor Jadis on behalf of Canada.
So I will, just to explain that 50 years ago or more, the Department of Indian Affairs then began purchasing art to help up-and-coming Indigenous artists when their work was not being really respected in those. And so for the 150th anniversary of Confederation, they produced this book of the art that is in the department and that is now, I think, quite celebrated. And anyway, we wanted you to have a copy of this. And I must say that in the 3 years I've been doing this job, that last week was the first time somebody said to me, I think you've got a painting of my dad, and we'd like it back. So we may be entering into the work of a repatriation, but anyway, I thought I'd confess that now.
If I could now call Elder Barbara Bernard back to the stage to offer closing prayer.
Oh, I'm so honored. Earlier I forgot my chief senator. Sorry. And when I did these things and I did prayers elsewhere, like for Chief Bryant, I'd forget him still. But I respect him and love him with all my heart, so I know he forgives me. So, Creator, I'd like to thank you for bringing me here to acknowledge the signing. I also want to offer a prayer to those that are flying back home and that need your protection to get them there safely. I ask Creator to watch over them, bless them, and give them the strength and courage to keep working for our people. I want to thank Creator for watching over us and blessing us, and I always say we're in the right place at the right time, and because Creator brought us here. So I ask that He also bring you back home to your homes safely and protect all your families and your communities. Walalanam Sid Nogama. Hey.
And now, to close and celebrate our event, I would like to again ask Gilbert Sark and Hey Cousins to provide a closing song. Thank you, drummers. That was perfect for closing this very special event. And thank you all for being here. The signatories will be available for media questions. But first, I would like to ask if they could stay at the table for a quick photo with all of their negotiation teams behind them.